our drawstring bag, you're going to need your fabric that you want to use, and what we're going to do, we're going to use this fabric for our pouch as well as for the drawstrings. You need your patterns. The first pattern you need is the bag, and this is a rectangle that's 7 by 9. So the bag is going to be 7 by 9. So it's 7 inches wide, and then it's going to be 9 inches tall, which means it's actually 18 inches long, plus a case, an inch for casing and an inch, half inch for seam allowance. So when you go out to draw the rectangle, you need to draw a 7 by 18 rectangle and then add a half inch seam allowance to the long sides, an inch for your casing, and then on top of that an extra half inch for seam allowances for the bag. The drawstring, as I said, we're going to have a matching drawstring using the same fabric. So what we have here, it's 1.5 inches wide and it's 17 inches long. When you lay this pattern piece on your fabric, you need to lay it on a fold, so that way when you cut it out, it'll be twice as long as this piece, but only 1.5 inches wide. So I'm going to cut these pieces out and I'll be back. Real quick, when I talk about putting your pattern piece on a fold, right here, this fabric has been folded in half, or it's been folded so that my pattern piece can fit on it. So there's no point in folding it all the way to the end, because then you're just going to waste fabric. So what I did is I folded it long enough to hold the pattern piece, and I'm going to layer the pattern here on the fold, on top of the fold of the fabric. Just like that. Use a pattern weight here. And then I'm going to hold it down. And then I'm going to trace around it, and I'm going to cut this side, and this side. I'm not going to cut this side because it's on the fold, so we want a piece of fabric that's in the same shape as this pattern piece, but twice as long. And I'm going to do that 2 times, one for this one, and I'm going to scoot it over just enough and cut out the second one. So I got my pattern cut out. I have my fabric cut out. We only need one of these, and we need 2 of these. And see how we had it so that the fold, this was cut on the fold. So now we have one piece that's super long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to serge the edges. I'm going to serge the edges all the way around my pouch, and I will put up the upper left hand corner a link to how to get the same results on a sewing machine. But I'm going to use my serger on this one. I'm going to serge all the edges on this one, and what I'm going to do for these are going to be our handles. So what I'm going to do, we're going to fold them over like this, and I'm going to sew down one side, and then I'm going to flip them inside out. So I'm going to turn them inside out and make my 2 drawstrings. And once I have my drawstrings made and flipped, then I'll show you how to put the drawstring bag together. So I've serged the edges of my bag, and I have my two drawstrings right here. So I went ahead and flipped one inside out, so the seam is on the inside. I gotta go iron it now. But I'm going to show you how to flip this one inside out. To flip out a tube like this, you need, well, you can't see it, but a long thin dowel, like a chopstick. Chopstick would work awesome. This is actually a dowel that comes in a bag of polyfill, which is the stuffing, the fluffy stuffing stuff that you see in baby dolls and stuff like that. So you take your tube, which you have sewn the edges to, and you want to turn it inside out. So this is how you do that. You take the edge and you push the fabric into the tube, like so. And you're going to have to do some finagling. It's not going to happen automatically right away, usually. So you push it in, and you want to slide the tube over your cone, over your chopstick. So see, like this. So I have got a little knot of fabric right here that I pushed in earlier, and that's going to cause a knot, like a little dam, and I'm going to push it all the way up my tube until it pops out the other end. Now if I happen to do this and it pushes through, if it happens to push through that little knot, and scoot everything down, oh, like it did just right there, then all you have to do, you start again at the bottom. I'm pushing it in, and just keep pushing it in like that. because then all that extra fabric that's already in there will gather up into a knot. And see, you can see all that extra fabric, and you just push it on through. So once it comes out, you can pull your stick out and then just pull the tube. See, that's the end. We'll just pull it out like that until it flips out. There you go, and you've turned the tube. So I turned my drawstrings. These are my drawstrings, the tubes that we created. I ironed them flat so they look nice and pretty. So we have 2 of those, 1 for each side. And then I also ironed down my seam allowance and my casing. Now, I originally had planned for an inch casing, but I went ahead and decided to do something a little less than that. So it's 3/4 of an inch. So it just gives you an extra half an inch in length. So what we're going to do next, I went ahead and ironed everything down on both ends so that I know where everything's supposed to bend at. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to sew down. We're going to fold over our edges right here, and we're going to sew down till right there. So your casing's at 3/4 of an inch, so you need to sew down 3 casings at 3/4 of an inch from that fold line right there. But we're going to do all 4 sides. So we're going to sew right here, right there, right here, and right here. And when we come back, I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what I did for each one of the corners. What I did was, that's our seam allowance. That's the top half of our casing. So from this fold line down 3/4 of an inch, because this one's 3/4 of an inch. So down from this line 3/4 of an inch, I put a little snip in the fabric. Just a little snip, nothing major, just enough to make it bend easily. And then I folded this down and then sewed it shut so that we have a nice smooth edge here. And I did it on all 4 sides of our bag. Now what you're going to do is you're going to make the casing. So where I ironed, previously I ironed my edges so that I knew what goes where. So now that that's ironed, we're going to fold it down. So we're going to fold down our seam allowance. We're going to fold down our casing right here like this. And we're going to sew a line all the way across the bottom. We're going to leave a tunnel in here, a hole, so that our drawstring can go through it when the time comes. But right now, on both ends, we're just going to sew a line right along that edge. And we're going to do it for both sides. So we're going to do this side. And our other side. And ironing everything down will help you put your creases where they need to be so that you can fold everything up and sew it all down without getting lost or mismeasuring or just getting confused. So if you iron it down, you know where you're supposed to fold it at, so you know where to sew it at. So I'm going to go do that and I'll be right back. Now we have our last step. So we have folded our edges over, ironed them, folded in the sides, so the sides are nice and clean. I'm going to go back and finish snipping some of those threads out though, and then we folded over and we sewed across the bottom. So now we're going to take the outside of each bag, so our seam line that was folded over, so you can see where we folded it over at, the smooth side where we didn't fold it over. Ooh, we need to pick out all those threads. We're going to do it back to back. So we're just going to fold it over back to back, just like this. And match up those edges. And then we're going to sew the sides straight up until you get to our casing. We're not going to sew through our casing, we're just going to sew to our casing. And when we get there to our casing, we're going to stop. And we're going to back stitch so that we can have a secure stitch and it won't come apart. So I'm going to go do that and I'll be right back. Alright, so here's our bag, all sewn up. We're going to trim any little extra threads we have that might be poking out anywhere, on the top, the bottom, you know, just any extra threads. Get rid of all those little scragglies. Let's see, anything poking out of the casing, we're going to get rid of those. Trim those up some. Okay, so now we're going to flip it inside out. Poke our corners in, and there you go. Flipping it out. Oh yeah. Flip it out. And so there now is our bag. Seams are tucked on the inside. Our casing is on the outside. And then last step, our last step, is now adding our drawstrings. So we are going to take our gargantuan safety pin, which is a quilting pin. But we're going to take this, thread it through our drawstring, and we're going to thread it through our casing just like this. And at your seams, you're lining up your doodads. All you have to do, you don't even have to sew this. You just trim off the ends, get all your little scragglies off, and tie it in a knot. If you want to do something fancier, or you wanted to trim that, all you have to do is turn it on to the inside and sew across it. So this would be one drawstring, and then you close it like this. One drawstring, open it like this, and with a second drawstring, you do it in the opposite direction. Take those ends and you tie them together in a knot. And there you go. So when you have two drawstrings, they close like that. And you can open it up. Just like that. So there you go. And there's your drawstring pouch. When you get the hang of these, they don't take very long to make, but when you do it and you do it right, they're really pretty and nifty, and now you can have all your little, I don't know, what would you fill this with? Let me know in my comments below what you would fill this with. So that's the final product. And just do just like that. Let's see if we can get a better shot. Just like that. So there you go. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video, that you learned how to make a little drawstring bag. I did want to let you know, though, I didn't mention in the video, that if you wanted to decorate your bag in any way, you would want to do that before you sewed up the side seam. So you only had 2 steps left, adding the drawstring and sewing up the side seam. While your bag is laid out flat, that's the time you want to add any type of embellishments to your bag before you sew up the sides. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, put them down below. I will respond to them as soon as I get them. Give this video a big thumbs up, share it, tell your friends about it so we can spread the word, and if you really like it, let me know so I can continue making more videos. So until the next project, I will see you later, and I hope you guys have an awesome summer. We'll be seeing you soon in school. Bye!